Leadership Overview. This is leadership training powered by Conversational Intelligence. Today we're going to cover what is leadership, the different types of teams, the traits of a team, and leadership styles, when to use each one, when it would be appropriate to use each one. So what is leadership? Well, you could answer guiding others to complete a particular task, motivating your team members to do their best. If you ask a squadron of people, you get a squadron of different answers. So I want you to think about, what do you think leadership is, based on people you know that are leaders. This is my definition: having a vision, sharing it, and inspiring others to support it. That is leadership. Michael Jordan, basketball champion and icon, said talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. That's our goal today, is to have a team that can win championships. Let's look at the definition of a team. Now, we just looked at the definition of leadership, but what about the team that we're going to lead? It is a cohesive unit. Cohesive, that means that they all work together. They know what each other does, and they know how they fit within that. Working together for a common purpose. Guess whose job that is? You have to determine what the common purpose is and make sure that they actually work on it together. And explicit goals. It's critical that you have a vision for your team of what they're supposed to do. Explicit goals. If you don't have a vision for them, how will they know how to get there? And shared rewards. The team that makes the goal together actually gets the reward together, and then they feel closer, they feel more bonded. Increasingly, a team will demonstrate competence, trust, accountability, and co-creation. That means that they may not start off as a well-oiled machine, but at the end they will be. In fact, if you want another resource, which is, I think it's a lot of fun, it's a movie. I like old movies, and this is an old movie called 12 O'Clock High, which is a seminar on leadership. It's about a colonel that takes over a team of Air Force pilots during World War II, and it's a critical position, all these people, but they're not doing well, they're dying instead of succeeding, and his job is to come in and turn them into a team, and he does all the steps that a leader needs to do. And so that's what we're talking about today. But if you want to watch it in a different format, it's really a good movie to rent. It's called 12 O'Clock High. So I want you to think about, have you been on a team that worked well? If you're in a group setting right now, I want you to discuss it. Go ahead and pause the video and discuss, what was it like to be on a team that worked well? What were the circumstances? Now I want you to think about, have you ever been on a team that did not work well? Why didn't it work well? What went wrong? And what did the leader do or not do that might have caused it? Go ahead and pause the video to discuss it or think about it. Let's look at the different types of teams. There's a functional team, and most of us work on functional teams. This is a team of coworkers in one area, such as accounting, marketing, or HR. They might be called departments or divisions, but it's generally a smaller group. A task force is a team established to work on a single defined task, and generally for a short amount of time, maybe 1 year, maybe even 1 month. A problem-solving council. This is a team to find solutions to difficult or complex issues, so they probably have a lot of knowledge of what the issues are. Process improvement team analyzes and improves existing business processes, such as cost reduction. Again, they probably have more experience, at least working on the issue, maybe not as a team, but on different teams, so that they can understand the different processes available. Project team. This is a team whose members usually belong to different groups, functions, and are assigned to activities for the same project. Generally, it could be a 1 or 2 year long project to make something happen, create something. Business unit team. This is an entire team who generally support one VP or corporate director. This is like our functional team, only on a larger scale. And a self-directed team are people who combine skills and talents to work without the usual managerial supervision toward a common purpose or goal. This would be like an agile team, where they are working together to make something happen without being told what to do. Let's look at the traits of a team now. A team should have strong structure and identity. If they don't, guess whose job it is to make it happen? They should share challenging goals. Again, notice it's the word challenging. If it's too easy, then they're really not a team. They're not working together. They agree on procedures, so it's a really good idea to have a list of procedures available. For example, how to run a meeting, how to operate within the confines of a time-boxed meeting. Understands team performance expectations. What is expected of me? What is expected of us as a team? Another great quote, Martin Luther King Jr. Clearly, I'm sure you know, a leader and activist. He said, a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. They decide, what are we going to agree on? And now let's make that happen. These are 4 leadership styles to solve common team issues. This is from the book Conversational Intelligence. We talk about the prescriber, the persuader, the participator, and the permitter. In the overview of conversational intelligence, there are 3 levels of conversations and trust between people, and that could be between 2 people or a team of people. Level 1 is low trust, and that's where you have the resistor, the skeptic. Level 2 is the conditional trust, where you have the wait and see or the experimenter. And then finally, level 3 is the high trust, when you're in the co-creator and you're able to create things that haven't been created before. You can work together and see a vision and make it happen. That's what we all aim for, is level 3, high trust, co-creator. But it starts with the prescriber. This is when your team has low trust, the resistors or skeptics, they're low level of performance maturity. Doesn't mean that the people are immature, but they haven't worked together. So it could be a very new group of people, for example, raw recruits, or it could be older people who just have not worked together before. So in this case, you want to be a prescriber. That means that you are the coach and you're telling them what to do. I highly recommend you look at your team and decide to be a prescriber when it is new or inexperienced. I made this mistake. Maybe some of you have made these mistakes too, but I made this mistake. I had 50 volunteers, brand new team, and they actually came together to help me do my job. It was too big of a job for one person and I had no budget, so I got the volunteers to help me. I was in public relations and I had a lot of activities, fun things to do, but not if you only have 24 hours in a day. So the team came together, they all volunteered to participate and help, but they'd never worked together as that kind of a team before. And because I had never led a group like that, I only was familiar with leaders that let you have a laissez-faire. In other words, they keep their hands off and let you do what you need to. That was not the way to handle this team. They didn't know the rules. They could not self-govern yet because they just didn't have the maturity as a team. So it's always important to be the right kind of leader for the right kind of team at that time. What is it right for that team at that time? Also, if you need to gain control during transitions or major changes, even though the team may be someone that they've all worked together before, but they may have not have gone through, for example, if you're getting bought out. That's a huge change, and it's a lot of stress for a team that even is a well-oiled machine. The second is the persuader. Now we're moving toward level 2, wait and see, conditional trust. So it's a higher team performance maturity, but it's more of a wait and see. The employees are willing to be involved, and some risk is okay if they try something that they haven't tried before. But still, the leader gets input and then calls the shots, just like in the presidential council. They sit and they all tell the leader what they think, and then the leader says, okay, I'm going to make the decision. So a lot of input, and there has to be some trust there between people. The third level, now we're starting to move up in the trust. We're still in the conditional area, but now we're experimenters. We'll try something new. And these are high levels of performance. The team knows what they're doing. The team is self-disciplined and can assume a facilitator role. This is very good. That means now we get to be a participator in the process. We don't have to be over them. So now the team can co-create as the leader assists. So you can imagine a team of firefighters that have trained together over and over again. They all know their their jobs. But if somebody can't make it, they can fill in. They know how to take different roles. So now the leader coaches this group of professionals, gives some advice, but doesn't have to tell them everything that they need to do because they know how to do their job. So as a leader, you're a participator. And then this is great when you've got the well-oiled machine. This is the most mature performance. They've worked together very well. They know each other. They trust each other. Now, as a leader, we are the advisor, the mentor. The employees co-create. They're self-sufficient and they're autonomous. They can work without direction. The only reason you're there is to offer some advice now and then, and just to herd them. Just make sure that they're going down the right path, but you don't tell them which path to go down. You let them figure it out. The leader allows each to lead, kind of like the astronauts. That's one of the things that I saw recently. They had a new hiring pool of astronauts. They haven't done this for a while. And so I actually read what are the responsibilities and the key attributes that they're looking for an astronaut. And the number one thing was you have to be flexible. You have to be able to think at the moment's notice a different way. You have to change constantly and think, how can I solve this issue? So they're thinkers and they think for themselves. So all of them could be leaders. Any of them could be leader at any time. All right, now this is a great activity. Again, if you're in a group setting and you can pause the video, I want you to decide what type of leader would you use for each of these teams and why. There's no wrong answer here. For example, a functional team could have a prescriber if it's a brand new team. You've just started. But it could have a permitter if it's a functional team that's been working together for 5 years. Everybody knows everybody else's job. They've all been cross-trained and they know exactly what needs to be done. They know the goals for the whole team. So it could work in that situation as well as any of them. Okay, so I want you to think about what would make sense here. So think about a task force. Would it make sense that a task force have a prescriber? Maybe for the first meeting, but after that, they may move up to persuader or even participator. There are times when you can play and move around as needed. Here's another great quote. John Maxwell, he wrote 21 qualities of a leader. He says leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. So it's not just because of your title or the fact that you are supposed to lead, but the fact that you can get other people to do their jobs. Notice all those bags on the side there? We call that baggage. And a lot of employees come to us with prior work experience that may not have been positive. They may have anger, stress, guilt, fear. Our job is to create a safe climate with trust. And I'm going to show you the trust model. Trust allows co-creation. Remember, that's level 3. That's the highest level. That's our goal. People will work better. They will work more. And they will enjoy their jobs more if there's trust in the environment. Use open conversations to overcome their prior work baggage and build trust. So let's look at the trust model. Trust. T stands for transparency. Be open and transparent about what's on your mind. The more you hide things, the more people try to figure out what it is that you're hiding and will assume the absolute worst. So certainly be open and transparent. Do you have to tell them everything? Do you want to tell them all of the things you're worried about? No, you don't get to do that. You only share with them enough so that they won't be worried about their own jobs. R is for relationship. Sometimes we get off to a bad start or a bad middle. Something might happen. So make sure that even with foes, even the people that you like the least on your team, extend the olive branch and let them know that you're willing to be friends no matter what. U stands for understand. To hear their perspective and honor it. To actually hear it. Sometimes we give them time to talk, but we're not listening, and we certainly are not hearing. We're just waiting for our turn to talk, or we're waiting for our turn to sell them on our own idea. And that does not build trust. Instead, we want to stop and really hear what they're saying. Think about it. Take a moment to respond. Don't respond right away. and honor it because they had the guts to tell you what they're thinking. So do not belittle it or demean it. Honor it. Say, thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't know that that's the way this could be perceived, and I will work harder to whatever it is that you're doing. So listen. S is shared success. We have to create a vision, and that's going to be in another training in a little bit. You're going to see about how to create a vision of shared success. What does it look like? Because if you don't know what it is, they won't know what it is. And if you do know what it is, you need to let them know so that they'll know what to follow, where to go. Where are you taking us? And then T stands for test assumptions. Discover the truth together. Don't assume everything. Try and see what am I normally thinking in this area? Why? Am I worried it's going to cost too much money? Then maybe I say, how are we going to pay for it? And let them come up with a way to pay for it. Well, that was one of the best management experiences I ever had. The best manager I personally ever had. Never said no to me. He'd always say, how are you going to pay for it? And you know what? 9 times out of 10, I came up with ways to pay for it. So he didn't say, well, that won't work, because that's what he assumes, we can't afford it. Instead, he tested the assumptions. How are you going to pay for it? Notice he didn't say, how are we going to pay for it? He said, how are you going to pay for it? And I would find some funding. So it's never bad to just try, see what other options are available. This is a quote I like a lot. Lao Tzu said it. He was a philosopher and founder of Taoism. He said, to lead people, walk beside them. As for the best leaders, the people do not notice their existence. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, we did it ourselves. Our next session, I mentioned this earlier, that you have to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, how will anybody know how to reach it? It's how to create a team mission, your vision, METAL, a mission essential task list, and operational values. This is a really good exercise, and every team should go through it. And then you post them so that everybody knows exactly what it is, and everybody knows where they're going. So that is what the next session will be about.